Welcome, everyone, to our NCAA social series. I'm Andy Katz. Well, coming up momentarily, I will speak to champions of winter sports in divisions 1, 2, and 3. An outstanding winter season where the championships were back to normal in all divisions, in all sports. And joining me now here on our NCAA social series, Sophia Laukli from the University of Utah, a junior, a Nordic skier, and a champion. Majors in economics, math, nutrition. We'll get to all that, but let's talk championship here. 15K freestyle event. She won by over 30 seconds. Pretty significant, Sophia. Tied for second in the 5K classic event. Third straight team NCAA championship for the Utes, and a 3-time NCAA first team All-American. I could go down, of course. We got the Olympics in Beijing, racing to a 15th place finish in the women's 30K freestyle. We'll talk about that momentarily. And we're going to go back also to 2020 because you came from D3 Middlebury to now D1 and Olympian. So there's a lot on the resume. I just want to get that out. Let's first talk about this most recent championship. Semi-normal, we're back to normal, certainly more so outside than inside, outdoor sport. What was it like?
It was so cool. I mean, it was especially cool to have it at home. And this was the first year for me that I was trying for an individual title, but it was also like the team has this reputation and we were definitely trying to defend the title too. And so the whole environment was just so cool. And like I said, to be at home, it just like made it way more, it meant a lot more, I guess.
So, I mentioned the Middlebury aspect. I actually, my skiing is very rudimentary, but I grew up on the East Coast, lived out west for many years, skied all over the amazing places in Utah, and it's quite different, as you know. You know better than anyone. What was that adjustment like? Because skiing in the Northeast, a lot of ice, a lot more powder in the Wasatch area. What's that transition been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, the ski world is so small in the US that you end up traveling everywhere anyways. And so it wasn't necessarily hard to adjust, but I'd say like going to school in Middlebury and training there, and it's just completely opposite in Salt Lake. And I grew up in a place that was similar to Middlebury. And so
Where was that?
I was in Yarmouth, Maine. So small town, East Coast. And so I was just ready to come to someplace really different anyways. And so it took time to adjust, but it was like, I was excited about it.
Now, skiing is also a sport where I think you could argue that divisions may not matter as much, that you can make up the time, and that you could be an unbelievable D3 skier and better than plenty of D1 skiers. So, I mean, how have you found that sport where the divisions, because you've run the gamut here, that it doesn't matter as much when you get on the slopes?
Yeah, I think that's definitely more relevant, I would say, with other sports. Like I got so much better when I came to Middlebury out of high school. And like the coaching and like access like to skiing, I would say, is pretty like general across the board. But there's definitely like, now that I have come to a D1 school, like it is maybe not like what I find the most like impactful to me is like all the other resources and being able to work flexibly. Like there's maybe a little bit more with professors and stuff because it's a D1 school. There's like you have a little bit more leverage. Whereas a D3, it was really like balancing the school and the skiing was a bit harder. And because of that, maybe it's harder to make the next step with your skiing.
So tell me how you navigated, the Olympics and still being able to compete for a national championship when it was so soon after, and yet you're dealing with crazy protocols in Beijing, jet lag. I mean, there's just a lot of factors here in a short period of time here in the winter.
Yeah, it was a hectic time to be back. And I mean, the time change was insane. And like, I had a
What was
couple,
worse, by the way, going or coming back?
um, I think, yeah, coming back, I didn't sleep for like a week straight. I think I remember now. It was terrible. But I had a couple of races like 5 days after I got back, and those were not like they went fine results wise, but I did not feel good. And I mean, by the time NCAA's came around, it was definitely like I had adjusted and it was totally fine. And I think it was hectic, but it was just there was such a buildup and so much excitement that it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
So talk to me about that stress in Beijing, because so many athletes, and we talked to some here on our show going in, there was real stress because the testing was at another level. And
Oh
if you
yeah.
popped, you're
Yeah.
done. Or
Yeah.
depending on when your race was, you might have a chance to recover in time. And we saw that with the bobsled. But you were cutting it really close. What was that stress level like?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like I had some interviews before it and they're asking about the races and how nervous I was about those. And I was like, no, I'm really just stressed about getting COVID and having to deal with it there because we're like walking around in the village. There's these just like metal boxes that you go to. They're just isolation cubes. If you get it, and there's no windows, it's a tiny little cube. And it was just the thought of having to do that was so scary, and also missing the opportunity to actually get to race. So it was once we got there, like it wasn't as stressful because it was you could tell it was so safe there. And so yeah, I guess it was real. The stress was real, but it got better as the weeks went on.
All right. So you are an individual sport with a team aspect. You mentioned about that pressure also of, Utah has been dominant in the team aspect. How did you adjust to that, to knowing that you got to win your race, but at the same time, you are a piece of the larger team
Right.
result?
I found it more motivating. Like even when I was at Middlebury, yes, I wanted to win at one point, but coming here, it was definitely cooler, I would say, to have more riding on that, like, and then it meant a lot more if I did win. But at the same time, I knew that like we had such a strong team that it's going to be okay if I don't have my best day. There's so many other fast people that we're all working together towards this. And because of that depth, it was motivating, but it was also like no one was putting too much pressure on each other. So it was nice.
All right. So balancing student aspect, the student athlete aspect, Middlebury, small liberal arts school, Northern Vermont, Utah, big state school. How have you balanced, the academic side? And it's not like you're coasting here with econ, math, and nutrition.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that drew me to Utah too. Like there's just so much more flexibility. I right now I'm totally online, and so I was able to easily travel this year. And like the academics aren't like I definitely struggled more balancing that because of the lack of flexibility and trying to work more with professors. Um, and so, but I guess I would also say that I've noticed at both schools, like I've appreciated it so much to have that school on the side. And it otherwise, I don't know if I would still be skiing because it's doing only one sport takes a lot. And so being able to have something else to balance that has been really beneficial. I mean, it's super stressful a lot of the time, but it's really helpful for me at least.
I think about your journey here of Middlebury, shutdown, COVID, transfer, Olympics, national champion, Division I level. When you think about that arc, and you're a junior, so you have still another year.
Right.
How do you look back at what you've gone through of navigating the last 2+ years?
Yeah, it's a little interesting. Like I've thought about it. If COVID never happened, I would maybe still be at Middlebury right now. But there's like it's crazy to me. My skiing and my skiing career has taken such a jump in the past 2 years, basically. I've skied for so long, but it all of a sudden like took over my life, and it's good. Like I enjoy it so much. But there's a lot, like I guess I've figured out, like sometimes when I have been fully attached to skiing, I realize that I need to take a step back and that I need to have something outside of skiing to keep going. And like with all this moving around, like I've been able to join so many different teams, and it's made me realize what I need from a team and how I can also play a part in the best team possible.
What is
So
that,
yeah,
by the way? What is that? What do you need?
I would say like it's important to acknowledge that we're all competitive skiers, and it's an individual sport within a team sport. It's difficult to balance that, but I've found that when a team can like use that to our advantage, like take everyone's competitiveness, acknowledge it, but use it to push each other, but also keep like support and respect for each other. Like that's super, super key.
All right. So two things here for you. One, I mentioned you are a junior, but you're an Olympian. So, I mean, like, what's your plan here? Because I'm sure you have options.
Yeah, I think like I probably could commit to just going on World Cup and racing over there for the future, but I like noticed this year I did do quite a few World Cups, and I was wanting to come home and do college races too. It is really, really cool to be over there, but it's really exhausting too. And so
Because it's all on you.
yeah. And so next year I definitely want to try to do a combination again, where I do some races over in Europe, just because it's such a good experience. It's definitely making me a better skier. But the college circuit is so much fun that I definitely am going to want to try to make it work back here too.
All right. Your advice, what would it be for someone that wants to be you?
Oh man. I think like I've mentioned before, being able to find something that you can go to if skiing isn't like going great all the time, because it's not going to go, and like acknowledge that it's not always going to be great. Like you're going to have bad days, but not really letting that persist, that feeling. I think it's really important to learn, like if you're on a team, to use them, like use your teammates. You can learn so much from them, and that's one thing that I've noticed the past year at least, that I started to like watch and listen to my teammates, and it's been like such an important role.
Congratulations, Sophia. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And I know more great things are coming from you.
Thank you so much.
And now joining me, Jan Delkeskamp from Queens University in Charlotte. He was the Elite 90 winner at the Division II Championship in swimming. And yet again, Queens has dominated in men's and women's 7 straight year. They've won the championship. So there's something in the water down in Charlotte. What is it, Jan?
Oh, well, that's an amazing question. What we always say is to compete at Queens is an honor, and to win at Queens is a tradition, meaning what we say is we are not trying to defend our national championship each year. We are trying to attack it and get a new one. And we always are blessed with the new generations of freshmen and transfer joining each year who want to be part of the experience, and who then set the incentive and joining us in our mission to always get 4 rings for each class.
So look, you were the first male athlete in school history to win this award. Let's peel that back a little. What is the Elite 90 winning? What does that mean to you to win that?
It means that Queen's promise of saying, we have the yes and promise, saying, yes, you can excel athletically and in the pool and academically in the classroom. And just being privileged with receiving this recognition, it just shows me that Queens is truly committed to their promises they have made to the students, and that we provide platforms for student athletes to excel academically and athletically. And at the same time, it's a huge thank you to all the support I've received, not only from my coaches, but also from my professors and my fellow classmates, who have then enabled me in a team effort to thrive for academic excellence.
Yeah, you're 4.0 in finance and business. What drew you from Germany to Queens?
Well, for me, coming from Germany, the system is not allowing you that well at home to combine academics and athletics on a very high level. You either choose to go with one or the other, especially in the beginning. So my attention was then drawn to studying abroad. And I had a friend of mine who was actually helping people finding their opportunities in the US. And he knew head coach Jeff Dugdale and was like, hey, Queens is like a rising program, and they're looking for like ambitious young people who want to contribute and play a bigger part and become a leader for life. Would you be like willing and like happy to take on this opportunity and join? And just like having the first connection with Coach Dugdale, and back in the day, Coach John Long, who's now a coach at Indiana University, just made me feel home. And the combination of having a small class size and a very family-oriented team just very much gave me a good gut feeling and made me come to Queens.
And how did you navigate the last couple of years of dealing with the COVID protocols, being so far from home, and in the pool? Obviously, you can't mask in the pool, but you know, there was a lot of dealing with that, of even just as simple as a lot of times you had to mask on the deck, but not while you're swimming, and all the different protocols of still maintaining a championship level program. Mm-hmm. And obviously you being at a championship level yourself, and I should mention that you do compete in the IM and the breaststroke individually as well as the team competition. What was that like over the last couple of years?
Oh, you name it. There was a lot of adversity that we faced, a lot of challenges we needed to overcome. But knowing that the true foundation of our team culture are values of excellence, urgency, social responsibility, communication, and so on, we always had a foundation to fall back on. So no matter what we had, we know ultimately that we are not going through this by ourselves, but as a team. And if you take upon a challenge, you feel very much more supported if you have 30 or even expanding on the women's team, 50 people having your back and knowing that you can count on those people in case you face an obstacle. And just this continuous reinvention of solution-oriented approaches to, hey, we want to win this championship. We face this. We face maybe going into isolation, maybe having the program shut down in last year, 2021, uncertain about how many meets are we going to get. Well, all these challenges are things we do not control, and keeping in mind that we control what we can control and then make the best out of it, we just always found a good way, a smart way to not only overcome, but to excel and differentiate us from our competitors in and outside of the pool.
How would you compare the championships that you saw at the beginning of your career, which didn't happen, if I'm not mistaken, because of 2020?
I'm a senior.
A senior. So you had it once, then there wasn't championships, then you had the COVID championships, and then now semi-normal. How was that arc?
Wow. Each championship is a memorable journey by itself. Given the unique circumstances each and every time, you would consider saying 2019 was the most normal championship, quote unquote. That's fair to say, but it was the first experience. So everything was new and you were like, oh, like, wow, this is like amazing. We're going to do this again, you know? Because each time when you stand on the podium proudly, like holding up the trophy with your teammates, you know at this moment what you've been fighting for and what you have been very grateful for, and that you want to do everything to repeat it again. Then going into the canceled championship in 2020, where we were about to getting our next ring, we knew under the framework of #unfinished-business, we knew that we are still on our mission and we are going to fight to make up for this one that got taken from us by the unique circumstances. And heading into 2021, we just knew when we come together as a team and we trust the process and control what we can control in those circumstances, that we are going to be in the position to take this one home. And from latest last year on, we have continued to build upon this notion of saying we do because we can. We do what we do because we can, because we are privileged in a situation. If we look at what is very, very sadly going on in Ukraine, if we look at mental health, if we look at the COVID crisis, what has always drawn our attention back is that we are privileged with being in the pool together, that we are allowed to practice, that we are mentally and physically capable of practicing, that we don't need to sit in quarantine or isolation. And all these things just change your perspective and reframe and transform the spirit of what you do in the pool to a different level. Because when you're grateful for a practice opportunity, you will have a completely different experience. And rolling this momentum into a championship season, you know what you're there for, and you definitely enjoy the moment and keep then the momentum going from the first to the fourth day with your teammates.
So here, last thing, because you clearly have great balance in your life as a student athlete, what would be your advice to those that are coming now, this next wave, you know, certainly in hopefully a more post-COVID world, but what would be your advice to how you balance being an elite student athlete, both in the pool, in your case, and in the classroom?
I think there would be three things I would tell every single student athlete always also wanting to face this and embrace this challenge. First, know your network. There are so many support resources, starting by your roommate, starting by your teammate, that over time become your family. Start going to your coaches, professors. Queen's staff and faculty have done an outstanding job in allowing us to not only thrive in the pool, but making sure that we take care of business in the classroom. Because ultimately, when you're excelling in the classroom, you will excel in the pool as well, and vice versa. So just by leveraging your network, you will have so many more opportunities. Second, say thank you. This is why I would like to utilize the opportunity to thank President Lugo, our AD Sherry Swarthout, and of course head coach Jeff Dugdale, as well as John Lau and Nick Erickson, our associated head coach, who have done an amazing job of, no matter what challenge we forced, we knew we had that support. But you should always remember, when someone is helping you in that incredible way, to say thank you and to be grateful for these little things, because they will make ultimately the difference. The third thing about balance, take self-care. It is not about always, life is too short, especially the college experience is too short to solely be reduced to just focusing on exam scores and just focusing on calculating your swim performances and calculating the percentage improvement. It is more about enjoy every moment of it and try to take time to rest. It is about finding a balance between work in the classroom, work in the pool, and enjoying the moment, finding rest, spending quality time with your friends and family around you, because ultimately you will only be as good as you're rested. And your cup is, at some point, if you keep pouring into those forms of excellence, it will be empty at some point. So know how to recharge and how to reset, and then you're off to a great college experience, because that's what ultimately is supposed to be. The college experience is never supposed to be reduced just solely to grades or to your swim performances converted to FINA points or places in place. It's the whole experience that makes it the unique opportunity we have that it is today.
Well, Jan, I'll tell you, you are a tremendous ambassador for not just Queens, for your native Germany, and also yet another example, a great example of why we should embrace even more international students on American campuses. You enhance the student athlete experience. Congratulations again, the Elite 90 winner at the Division II Championship. Thanks for joining us, Jan.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here and representing Queens and Queens Swimming. Thank you so much.
And now joining me here on our NCAA social series, Alyssa Pfadenhauer from Loras College, Division III in Dubuque, Iowa, and again, a national championship program. You had an outstanding meet. Going to run through some of your highlights, if that's okay, Alyssa. Set a school record of 55.52. National champion in the 4x400 relay. Broke school record. Fifth fastest time in the NCAA Division III history. Third consecutive team national championship title. Indoor and outdoor championship. The men's team also won the Division III men's championship. You have had quite the run here. So I just want to get, first of all, that experience of semi-normal. What was it like to compete for a national championship this winter?
It was kind of nerve-wracking. Like in the beginning, we got there and we walked into practice, and it was just like being there 2 years ago, walking in again and actually being there. It was kind of like, wow, is this real? Like, it's actually happening. We're actually here. And so that just kind of made it like, let's take advantage of this experience. Let's go out here and show them what we've been waiting to show them for 2 years. And so it's kind of just like, okay, we're coming here to do this. Let's go get it done kind of thing. And it just felt amazing, actually, everything coming together, even with like some people not placing as high as they could have, or like were set out to place. It was like we pulled it off and it felt amazing.
Yeah, so tell me, what were the last 2 years like? Trying to navigate being a track star through COVID and championships being canceled or being abbreviated or no fans, or what were the last couple of years like?
They were kind of challenging, just not knowing if or when we were going to compete sometimes because of like all the COVID restrictions. They'd lift or like get worse in some areas, having to compete in mass. It was kind of challenging, just not ever knowing when it was going to be normal or if it was going to be normal again. So like we had to just get used to how everything was, COVID testing twice a week, all those different things in order to compete. So we just kind of had to make it normal so we could get past those like challenges and barriers and stuff like that for everyone. And so it's kind of hard. I feel like we grew tighter as a team because we all had to be there for each other in different areas. People were getting COVID, so I don't know. It kind of just made us work harder because we were getting it taken away from us, but we wanted to be ready when the time was given to us. So
So you mentioned masking. I'm just curious because I know every school was different, every championship was different, and indoor outdoor was different in terms of how you had to handle that, or practice versus competition, and things changed during the season. So what was the progression of when you had to mask and compete with a mask or even practice with one versus when you did not?
So even at the beginning of indoor, we had to wear masks. We had a COVID test twice a week. It was still very like tight protocol. On campus, we even had to wear masks in the classrooms, in the hallways, everything, except for when we were practicing, we could kind of take them off if we felt comfortable. And then up till like, even up till like the end of the season, we would have to wear masks sometimes at the meets. Not necessarily when we're competing or warming up, we didn't have to wear them, but other times we have to wear them, and sometimes they were strict, sometimes they weren't. But then at the national championships indoor, we didn't have to like test or wear our masks. And so it was like, it just kind of went away slowly when everything was lifting up. And outdoor last year was like, you had to wear your mask. Well, you don't have to wear your mask some places, but you couldn't be over where the parents are. And indoor, it was all intervened. It didn't matter. So it's kind of like things change so quickly, and it was like a difference. It's all like season we were testing and leading up to all these different things, and nervous that some of us wouldn't get a go, or like things wouldn't fall into place with like COVID testing and everything. It like didn't even matter when we got there.
So,
So that was interesting.
well, yeah, I mean, so like you're an elite sprinter. And I know routine matters and rhythm is important to you, to all competitors at your level. How were you able to compartmentalize and to compete at an elite level while you're having to also be safe, deal with the protocols, when to, you know, when mask, not to, and stay in that routine that is so critical, especially for high level sprinters?
It's hard sometimes, but like then I just gotta remind myself to be disciplined, because like at work they don't require masks, but it's like at school they do. So I have to decide whether I should wear a mask for my safety, because I'm in the sport, I need to be healthy, and like all these different little things that could matter to my performance. Because I didn't want to get sick and then have to be out and follow all these different protocols that we had to do just to come back into practice. And so just little things like that.
Well, and to that
Because
point,
even
Alyssa, I mean, you are part of a championship relay team. So not just in the health and safety protocols, but
Mhm.
you know, I think sometimes people forget in track, there is the team aspect to that. It's not just individual. So when you see that you're a champion individually and as a team, what did that overall experience mean to you to sort of balance the two of being a team champ as well as an individual champion?
It was over. I didn't even really know how to feel. It was just full of excitement. Um, I was in awe because at the beginning of the year, we said that we wanted to get the 4x4 done, since outdoor we came up a little short. And so we've been working towards it all year. We've been seeing times, we've been dropping times and working through a bunch of different problems. And it's been a lot. And we all believe in each other and trust that we can all go out and get the baton to each other in the best possible position. And so just having them be able to make it to finals, and then us getting to compete in the finals in the 4x4, we were like, okay, we have the points for the title. Now let's go get this race for us. Let's go win the 4x4. And so seeing the time in the first heat compared to what we can run, we just knew we had to go out there and chase time like we've been doing. And so we all trusted and believed in each other and got the baton to each other, and we went out and finished it. And it was just amazing feeling, looking up and seeing that we ran that time. It was just a moment.
Hey, a couple other quick things for you. First off, certainly I'm not going to diminish the Division I level, but the Division III level, you are ultimately the true student athlete because you're not on scholarship. You are balancing school and athletics. How have you done it?
It's hard sometimes, just being able to study and go to practice and work, but since I'm a social work major, there's like a different things we're required to do. And so I found this internship and I've been working there, and it's kind of just a place where I can let go and just be free. Kind of, I'm working with kids, and so like it's just a time to relax and not really stress out. So I feel like that helps me de-stress when I just need time to get away, because I'm there working with kids. I have to have a positive attitude because I don't know what kind of situations they're coming from school. So it just helps me like de-stress from all the problems that either school is bringing me, practice, or like life. And so it's just like when I'm on the track, I focus what's on the track. I can't let outside things irritate me, because it's routine, discipline. You got to stay relaxed when you're running. You got to be ready when the gun goes off. So just different things like that. Just having those little areas where you can like relax helps you get through like stuff like track practice.
And lastly, Alyssa, your advice for those that want to come after you, younger women who want to be you, they want to compete at the highest level. whether it's D3, D2, D1, what's your advice?
Continue working hard. Even on the days you don't feel like it, you're gonna have to put in work. It might be hard sometimes, but just being disciplined, putting in the work, doing what you're supposed to be doing. If your body's telling you it hurts, listen to it, but don't give up. Keep pushing. Do what your coach is asking for you in the workouts. It's helped me get to a higher level, just being disciplined, doing my workouts when I'm supposed to be working out, taking the time I need to rest, and just working hard, putting in the work. It'll show in track.
Well, congratulations on a great season. I know there's more to come from you, Alyssa. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that'll wrap up this edition of our NCAA social series. As always, you go to ncaa.org/social series where they are all archived. Thanks for watching, everyone.